told us that real men don't cry. And to be frank with you, that's a lie. Men cry at funerals. We cry in our cars. We cry in places that nobody can see. We cry in our shower. You ask why a man is spending so much time in the bathroom? Because that's a safe space. That's where the world is quiet. He cries at a place where, when he's done, the water has hidden his tears. We cry in silence. We cry carrying the weight of everybody else's or everyone else's expectations in our lives. We are told that real men don't cry, but nah, real men just cry silently and quietly in places and spaces that you are not even aware of. Now, welcome back to Be Frank, the space where we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we keep healing. This month, we've been sitting in a season of grief. We've talked to the amazing Deandra Fordwing about her book, Red Bird, and we've sat in the silence or with the silence in our quiet moments. Today, we are going after one of the biggest lies we were taught as men. And even not just men, I was even tempted to say pets are taught the same thing. The biggest lie is that real men don't cry. And yeah, you can't make us say, Bemensu, Bemensu, Bemensu. Bema pa, Bema kintinka usu. Which basically means like, hey, a man that's as strong like you, why are you crying? Or you shouldn't cry. And the reason why we're going after that today is, to be frank, grief does not care. It really does not care. If you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're rich, if you're broke, if you're black, if you're white, it comes for you. Grief comes for us all. You know, as boys, how many times did we hear, stop crying like a girl? You know, as if our tears had a gender, as if, pain was only for women. Again, I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form, trying to diminish the pain or the tears that our mothers, sisters, wives, girlfriends, women in our life have felt or have shed. But pain was not only meant for one gender. So, as men, we grew up thinking that emotions were weaknesses and our silence meant strength, that our manhood, meant carrying our pain in secret. But here's the truth, guys: silence doesn't mean you're strong. It really doesn't. It just makes you suffer in secret. And right now that I'm speaking to you, I'm in pain. Right now I'm speaking to you, there's so many men who are out there that are grieving. There are men who are grieving fathers they never ever knew. There are men out there that are grieving their dreams that never happened. There are men out there that are grieving relationships that have ended because they could never fight for it, or they lost even before realizing it was ending. Those men are grieving, but they've never spoken about it. And because we never, as men, learn to cry out loud, we are just crying. We are just crying deeply on the inside. And what are we doing? We are drowning in our tears. What people don't realize is that pain, grief, it it has to come out in one way, shape, or form. When men don't cry, we find other ways to let the pain out. When men don't cry, we drink. When men don't cry, we fight. When men don't cry, we chase money, we chase women, we chase distractions. When men don't cry, we bleed on the people who never hurt us or who never cut us. Because unspoken grief always finds a way to speak. When men don't cry, you would find fathers and brothers or boyfriends raising their voices whilst they're in pain because they've had to stifle it and keep it quiet for so long. And that grief has been bottled up and it just wants to blow up. And because we don't know how to cry, because we don't know how to let it out, because we've just been told, be a man. We yell, we raise our hands. One of the things I've made myself, or I've made a promise to myself, is never to raise my hand on the woman that I love. But there are men out there who also make those same promises. But because they've been stifled or ridiculed as men, they do these stupid things to prove they are men. Which, let me say that today, I'm not condoning abuse or making an excuse for it. As a man, if you don't cry, and you don't find a way to give your grief a voice that is safe, that is protected, that is controlled, and you resort to drinking alcohol, you resort to hitting the people that didn't hurt you, or even you resort to hitting the people that hurt you, that is not being a man. That is not being strong. No, no. That is you causing yourself more grief. Even Jesus Christ, that was supposedly the strongest man who ever lived. Even Samson in the Bible, who's the strongest man. These men weren't afraid of tears. I'm speaking to my Christian men right now. You all read the Bible. And you know, the Bible, the shortest verse in the Bible that we are taught as kids, especially back home, is Jesus wept. If the Son of God wasn't even too strong, quote unquote, to cry, why do we think as men we are too strong to cry? Being quiet and feeling that ache in your heart and just trying to drown ourselves in work. And I'll raise my hand and say that I am guilty. I have lost relatives over the course of God knows how long. It seems every year I'm losing a relative. I'm losing someone that I was closest to growing up. I'm losing someone that has shaped my story. And to be frank, I'm trying to be very raw and real with my listeners here today. I haven't cried enough. I haven't. And I know that pain is still in my heart. I know that pain is still somewhere deep down, but when I look for the tears, I cannot find it. And I'll be real with y'all. It's piling up. I remember when my mom got the news quite recently, a couple of weeks ago, that we had lost my cousin to in the most harshest way ever. I remember we were on our way to walk out of the grocery store. We were in a queue. My mom heard the news, and I practically had to carry her, like lift her. I had to leave some stuff behind because I had to carry her. And my 9-year-old sister is watching her mom in pain and crying and really doesn't know what to do or say or how to even process it. And then it hit me that I had to be strong. I had to be strong. Like the same things I was told when I lost my dad years ago just came rushing back at me at my big age. And I just had to be there for my mom. And I remember calling the one person that I really wanted to talk to, or that I felt very safe with. I think the person was cooking, and the person walked in. I was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you. Can you excuse yourself?" The person went into the room, like, "What's going on?" and I broke the news, but I still did not cry. Now, I remember that there were many moments where a part of me was just hoping that someone who knew what I was going through, or even, my safe space, this person I clarify as my safe space, or my go to person would, just ask me, how are you really dealing with these? Like, you just lost your cousin. Granted, you guys had your issues and everything, but you just lost her. How are you dealing with this? Because a year or two ago, you just lost your uncle. A year before losing your uncle, you lost your auntie. That basically was the only one who could tell you what to do, besides, your mom. But she had more authority than your mom. I didn't get that call. And over this week, I've really been sitting with my thoughts about how I process my emotions. Because a week ago, I realized I didn't process my pain, and I raised my voice at someone out of it may seem it was out of anger, but it was out of pain, because then I had another thing that I just lost. Like, in that moment, I just lost another thing that was everything to me, that I cherished so much, and it felt like I was just being dealt losses. And so I did not think it through, and I raised my voice. And as men, and I'm saying this to be real, like, I'm not saying this to say I'm a victim or any way, shape, or form, but there are men out there who, rather than feel the pain, we've pushed people away. Rather than feel the pain, we have yelled. Rather than feel the pain, we have drunk alcohol. We've immerse ourselves in our work. And like I said, this week I have really been sitting down, and that's basically the inspiration for this particular episode. I have been in pain, and I'll be frank with you, I am still in pain. And like I said, I was hoping that person um would ask me, how are you doing? Not not to give me a solution, but just be there. What do you need? And granted, I would give people their grace and their flowers where it's due. People try to be there for us in certain ways. It may not be in the ways that we would want them to be or do it, but they do their best, right? And in sitting with my thoughts, I realized that in as much as that person did not give me that excuse to cry, that excuse to let it all out, that excuse to no longer be strong, quote unquote, I should have given it to myself as well. I know that on this podcast, and I know in the mental health space, a lot of people keep talking about, other people, creating a safe space for you, everybody, but then everybody, making you feel safe or whatever. But to be frank, in this space, this podcast, this episode, this mission that we are on is to also find our own strength, is to find our own safe space, be our own safe space, be frank with ourselves that in as much as we are victims, we are also the culprits. We are also accountable for the things that we do with bad mental health. Hence why we have to not bleed on other people. We have to find our healing. And that is what I'm doing today. That is what I've been doing this week. Taking that space to find the strength to cry. I have just emotionally and trauma dumped on you, but is strength someone giving you the excuse for you to cry, or is strength the voice you give your own self? let's redefine strength. Strength is in silence. Strength is able to say, I'm not okay. Strength is crying and still standing. Strength is being honest about your hurt, not to other people, not to the world. Strength is not diminishing your hurt. Strength is not saying, oh, I'm not good, but I'll be fine. No, you're not good. Period. The end. You're not good. Like I said, strength is being honest about your hurt and still choosing to love again. So if you lost your father, you're allowed to grieve. If your relationship ended, you're allowed to grieve. Get in your jammies, open that peanut butter, or put some fufu in front of you, or some bangkung, and eat your heart out. And or go to the gym like one of my boys where he buffed himself out, or get yourself whatever. Just do whatever. Grieve. If you lost your job, if you lost your dream, if you lost your sense to self, you are allowed to grieve. Because grief is not weakness. Grief is evidence of love. Grief is proof that you dared to care. So you were allowed. But how do we begin to heal as men? We as men need to find safe spaces. And when I say safe spaces, we need to find safe spaces in ourselves, but also in our community. Because in as much as I say hold yourself accountable, create the space for yourself, create the healing for yourself, it's like, making sure that your closet at home has all clean clothes, but then you live in a place that is filthy and full of like mud and whatnot. The minute you come out of your house, you still be dirty. So, in as much as you're clearing the clutter up in your life, where you are being your own safe space, you need to surround yourself with safe spaces as well, with clean places as well. And you can find that through therapy. You can find that through brotherhood. You can find that through church. You can find it through community. I will pause and say this, right? Like I said, this week hasn't been the best for me. And last night, I'm recording this on Saturday, so Friday. Last night, a friend of mine called me that, and we always have this banter of, hey, so you don't you miss me, whatever the case is, right? And he said, I asked him, what's up with you? How you doing? He said, yeah, bro, I'm depressed. I can't, I can't do this, blah, blah. He just basically said he was depressed. And I could not create a safe space for him. He had a call, so he hung up. And because I wasn't good, I just put my phone on do not disturb and went to bed. That was a friend reaching out to his brotherhood, a safe space to actually talk. And I wasn't available. I didn't have the strength to deal with that. That's not to say, oh, like even if you're dealing with stuff, you bail on other people. But him being able to bring that to me, sometimes the reason why Alcoholics Anonymous, like AA, rehab, you don't find yourself surrounded with people who have already healed. You find yourself with people who are going towards the path of healing, is because you're leaning on each other. And reason why I'm confident to actually have this conversation and put my business out there like this, which people who know me know this is making my skin crawl. But reason I'm able to do this is because I understand now that I could have also leaned on my brother. If I didn't want to go even in details about what was going on, he could also have been a safe space. A friend of mine has been going for a prayer week all week, and I could have asked, hey, can I join you? Because I do need to pray. I do need to unload all of this, but I didn't. We need to find safe spaces, but not just finding the safe spaces, giving chance to those spaces to be our safety. Whether, like I said before, it's therapy, whether it's brotherhood, whether it's your church, whether it's your mosque, whether it's your community, whether it's your work, well, you have to be careful to not be over dependent on your safe space, but find that safe space, find the balance. The second thing that we need to do to heal as men is give language to our grief. You're in pain, you're grieving, it's normal, it's human. And you can give language to that grief by journaling. You can do that by prayer. You can do that by voice notes. Um, I want to give a big shout out to the person that got me my microphone for To Be Frank, because the person did that out of belief for me. But little did they know that they were giving me something to give my mental health a language. And they were creating a platform for me to impact so many people. Um, one of my friends texted me this yesterday, and bro, if you're listening to this episode, which I hope you are, thank you, because that text gave me the strength that I needed. He said, "Yo, I just got done listening to your recent pod, and it's really good. Different insights and very educational as well. I got to see some personal issues from a different lens. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much." I'll give the person's initials, BC. Thank you so much for the microphone. Thank you so much for the platform. Thank you for giving language to my grief and for giving other people access to this podcast to be able to give language to theirs. So if you're listening to me and you can help someone, pray for someone, buy a journal for someone, or even send a voice note to someone, or send a music playlist to someone, help give someone a language to their grief. And you as well, give language to your own grief. Third but not the last is redefine masculinity. That's the only way we can heal as men. Tears don't cancel our strength. Actually, tears confirm that we are strong. I think I said in the last episode that it takes strength to actually face the things that are breaking you. You may be walking through the valley of the shadow of death, but do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Be strong. Face those fears. Face the things that are breaking you. Accept that they are breaking you. Accept your humanity. It's in the acceptance of our mortality that gives us appreciation for it as well. The world doesn't need more men pretending to be strong. The world needs men who are willing to be healed. We are at the cusp of a new generation. We are at the cusp of a change. The world that we live in today does not need strong men. The world needs healed men. So, to every man that is listening to me, and every woman that loves a man and is listening, hear this. Grief does not make you less of a man. Tears do not strip you of your masculinity. Silence is not strength. You are human. You are loved. And you are allowed to feel. And the same God who wept with Mary and Martha still weeps with us. So, to be frank, men do cry. To be frank, I might cry after this episode. And to be frank, until we cry out loud, we will never know what real healing feels like. This is To Be Frank, and today, to be frank, I'm still healing, and so are you. Thank you.